Hello and welcome to part 5 of HTML Basics. In this video we're going to talk about nesting, the concept of nesting with HTML tags. And we will review a bunch of different tags that we can nest, the EM tag, the strong tag, and 3 types of lists. So let's begin by creating a new HTML file in Dreamweaver. Oops. Prefer to choose File New so that I can select my doc type here. I'm going to use HTML5 doc type. Here we go. Let's give this page a title. And we'll save it as nesting. Okay, so let's begin by reviewing the EM tag. EM stands for emphasis, and it generally previews as italic type. So if we have a paragraph and we want to say hello world, we can use EM to make part of it emphasized. There we go. We can use another tag called strong to make one part of the word, or make a word or part of the sentence appear more emphasized, so it appears in bold. Okay. Now, if we wanted to make something bold and italic, or we wanted something to be emphasized and stand out from the rest of the type, we would enclose the text in tags in this way. Alright, so what we've done is we use the P tag, and we close the P tag all the way here on the outside. Then we have strong, close the strong, and EM, and we close the EM. This is called nesting when you put tags inside of other tags. So in this example, we have 2 tags nested inside of the P tag. And the way this works is sort of like layers, or sometimes different layers. So we have the content, and it's enclosed in the EM, which is enclosed in strong, which is enclosed in the P tag. That's proper nesting. And we can verify this by using a service called the Validator. So I'm going to introduce validators now. If I open up my Internet Explorer, I can go to the W3C markup validator, and this is at validator.w3.org. Validation services are handy, especially when you're just new to HTML, because it will validate your code. One of the tricky things about HTML is that you can actually write incorrect code, and sometimes it will preview okay. So because it doesn't give you an indication, always giving you an indication that something is wrong when your page is rendered, it's very difficult to spot errors. So let's validate this page by direct input. I'm simply going to copy and paste my code into this form and validate it. Let's check. Here we go. This document was successfully checked as HTML5. Now I do have 2 warnings, and that simply refers to the my doc type as HTML5 and the fact that I have a charset UTF-8 in my code. And these are warnings, which means that my code is valid, it did not fail. It's simply letting me know some facts of the validator. For example, HTML5 is still sort of considered experimental. So I need to be aware of that. And then UTF-8 character encoding. Oops. The UTF-8 character encoding is not necessary for the direct when I'm using the direct input form. Okay. Now let me change this around. Instead of closing EM first, I'm going to close EM in the middle here. There we go. Now Dreamweaver is showing me that that is incorrect, but if I go to the validator and I paste this new code, I can try to revalidate, and it should give me that warning. Here we go. 2 errors, 2 warnings. So there are warnings, and here are our errors. So it tells me that the end tag strong violates nesting rules, and that's actually causing the second error, which is the EM element is in scope, but the EM end tag, the second error refers to the EM end tag because it's not detecting the EM start tag in front of it, which is actually over here. So violating the nesting rules causes another error. Okay, so that's how validators work, and proper nesting in HTML is always first in, last out. So yeah, let me restate that. The P tag is the first in, and it's the last out. Strong is the second one in, and it's the second to last one out. EM is the third one in, and it is the third to last one out. So, yeah. Okay, let's move on with our example. Let's look at lists. Lists are also tags that require nesting. So let's create a little example here. Okay, so this is an understatement, but let's use our nesting example. Oops. We'll make this strong, and we'll emphasize it. There we go. Here we go. Okay, and let's make this a heading. Alright, so now we have our heading here. Chuck Norris is really tough. And it looks like the strong tag isn't really serving a lot of purpose here. Even though it's structural, the H1 tag definitely makes the makes this tag strong, or makes this text strong, or emphasizes it. So instead I'm going to use the U tag just to underline it. There we go. Chuck Norris is really tough. Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, let's validate it. 2 errors. Oops. There we go. That's our new code. Revalidate. And there we go. Successful. Okay, let's create our first list, which is a bulleted list. I'm going to put a little heading here. Things. Whoa. Chuck Norris does not like. Okay. Let's make a list of things Chuck Norris does not like. So we'll start off with by creating a bulleted list, which is the UL tag. Okay. So I'm going to begin by opening the UL tag and then closing it. So this stands for unordered list. So this is an unordered list or a bulleted list. And each list item, so let's first create a list of things that Chuck Norris does not like. Blue socks, peanut free zones, and rainy days. Okay. So here we have a nice list of things that we think Chuck Norris would not like. And we're going to wrap each of these in a new tag called LI. LI stands for list item. Each one of these items is a list item, which means it needs its own bullet point. Let's preview that. Here we go. So, things Chuck Norris does not like. Blue socks, peanut free zones, and rainy days. Now let's validate this text, or this code. We're going to paste it in our validator and revalidate, and this should work. And it does. Success. Okay, so sometimes this happens. We forget to close our UL, especially when we have a long list, and that of course is going to cause an error. That is not valid. There we go. Got some errors. And it's because we did not close the UL element. So that's a common mistake. One to keep an eye out for. Okay. So now that we have our list of things, let's add one more thing to the list here. Things that Chuck Norris does not like. Bulleted lists. Okay. So since Chuck Norris did not like bulleted lists, it'd be in our best interest to change this list. So instead of using the UL tag, we're going to change it to the OL tag. And the OL stands for ordered list. An ordered list means that the list items appear in a series. Okay, so this is sometimes called a numbered list, but it could be letters instead. And the key is that it's in a particular order, 1 through 4. Okay, so that's two types of lists. We have the unordered list, or bulleted list, and the ordered list, or sometimes called numbered list. One last list I'd like to review, and this one's not as commonly found, but I think most people watching these videos are probably learning HTML, and that may mean that you're a student, and as students we all need to learn vocabulary. So you may find a use for the definition list, which is DL. So the definition list is a way to create a list of definitions, vocabulary. This one's a little funny. Instead of just having list items, okay, that's not correct. This has something totally different in the middle. Okay, so for each definition you have a term and then the description or definition. So that there are two tags that go in here for each item in your definition list. The first one is DT for a definition term. And let's see. Okay. So here we have the word peanuts. That's our first definition term that shows up. Now we need to define peanuts, so let's use DD for definition description. There we go. And now our definition list shows up with peanuts, a tasty salty snack. Okay. let's add one more. DT, and let's define the word nesting. Oops, DD. And the definition of nesting is placing tags inside other tags. Here we go. So, we have peanuts and nesting are two definition terms. And now they show up as the term and the definition. So that concludes our discussion on nesting and lists. Thank you for watching.